You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Welcome back to the Code Rad Show. Hello, Jim.
Hello, Jason. How are you?
I'm great. I'm especially happy that we are here to discuss one of my favorite subjects, H.P. Lovecraft. And we have another adaptation of his works. And I think this may possibly be the most highly viewed adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's works ever. I have no numbers. I don't know. I mean, I know Reanimator is probably my favorite adaptation. There's some other great ones I love, but I bet you none of them have been seen by as many people as the subject of tonight's discussion, Collect Call of Cthulhu, an episode of The Real Ghostbusters from 1985, I believe.
I think I want to say 86. That's when the show debuted, but
all right. So okay, yeah.
One year
I think it
off,
was season 2. Actually, I revised my estimate to 87. I think this was the second season. But
That
regardless,
sounds
yeah, that was just about the time I discovered Lovecraft myself. I don't remember the exact year, but it was late 80s when I finally read a story by this very sinister author I'd heard about many years, for a while anyway. And what the story I read was the Dunwich Horror, and it blew me away. And I've been reading them off and on since then. And so, I think I first heard about this episode of The Real Ghostbusters from you.
Yes, I saw it on. I think ABC had it back in the day. I did watch it on Saturday mornings back in the day, and
it was a Saturday morning cartoon.
At first it was, and then they moved it to, when they had enough episodes, they moved it to Monday through Friday.
Right. Yeah, that's how I never watched it back then, but that's how I think of it. I mean, there was a whole different Ghostbusters show too that wasn't real Ghostbusters, and I don't know how, maybe that aired in afternoons. I don't know.
I was funny you mentioned. I was actually going to get to that tonight. About
Okay.
the two different shows, and but it was 86 is when it first debuted. Saturday mornings. Actually, should I bring my slides in?
Yes.
Let's see if I can do that now.
Yeah, well, we're traveling back to the golden era of,
here we go,
animation, where production companies sent their scripts and drawings to Korea, I believe, and got the animation back months later.
I believe so. Yeah, I think they started to outsource to Japan, and then I think Korea later. But I guess we'll start with when the actual film debuted, because now, if you were around in '84, the summer of '84, which we both were, you couldn't escape that logo. You saw it everywhere, on the TV, on the boardwalk, in the clothing store. Ghostbusters was huge. It was a big deal.
I came out of that movie theater obsessed. I mean, that sensation of coming out of a movie theater on a summer afternoon, just blinded. You come out of that cold, dark movie theater, you're blinded by the bright light, and it's hot. And I was just obsessed. I have to get a Ghostbusters T-shirt, and I believe I think I got a bootleg one. It looked pretty fake, but I was just so happy. It was. It was the classic logo, but just did not look quite official.
I think I also had a bootleg T-shirt.
Yeah.
The Wildwood Boardwalk is where I got it, and that's definitely a bootleg. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, the movie came out in '84. So let's see. So the funny thing was, and I would learn this later, is that there already was a series called Ghostbusters by Filmation, with the guys from F Troop, Larry Storch and Forrest Tucker there. Let's see.
I saw Larry Storch at a convention once, many years ago.
Oh, very cool.
I think they might have had a few F Troop people there.
Oh, okay. So we mentioned last week for Star Blazers that we mentioned the three big companies in the with animation were Hanna-Barbera, Ruby Spears, and then finally Filmation, which I think I would probably favor. I prefer them over the out of the three. Let's see. So Filmation was no stranger to Saturday morning cartoons and cartoons in general. Let's see here. They did. Hey, come on, work with me.
Mm.
You probably remember seeing this circle
Mm.
Saturday mornings, but these are the two guys that founded Filmation.
Okay.
And Norm Prescott. Let's come on. Here we go. So they had been around since 1962, but it wasn't until 1966 they kind of were successful with their DC cartoon series. They first started with Superman and Superboy, and then later they had Aquaman, and you can see a Green Lantern, Hawkman, Flash, and later they would do cartoons for Batman. Let's see. But not only, hey, come on. Oh, sorry, my computer's being a jerk. Here we go. When they couldn't make, unfortunately, they got complaints that the superhero cartoons were too violent, even back then. So they decided to do the Archies instead, and that was one of their bigger hits.
Yeah, I remember that.
Also did a adaptation of Star Trek. Animation was kind of static, but the stories were really, really good.
Yeah.
Let's see. And of course, hey. That was one of their biggest hits.
Big time, yeah.
Does it hold up now? No, but but back then we had no idea, what was happening with. But I watched as a kid. You probably did too.
Oh, of course, yeah. Everyone loved Fat Albert.
Yeah, sorry, kids. We had no idea back then what was happening. A lot of hijinks. But let's see. So so Ghostbusters was debuted in 1975 and was Filmation's first attempt at doing live action shows. So let's see. So Columbia Pictures really wanted to use the name Ghostbusters. They had tried other titles, but just weren't as good as just not as weren't as good as I think they were right. I think Ghostbusters was definitely the best sounding name out of all these. None of these just.
Yeah.
I think Ghostbusters it just sounds right.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds right. Yeah. So what they had to do is that they had to pay Filmation, either $500,000 or $600,000 to use the name Ghostbusters, and also 1% of the profits.
Oh wow.
Which actually wasn't really as much as you might think. I think Ghostbusters did like $300 million, I think. So Filmation got $3 million probably, which isn't bad.
Well, I mean, Hollywood's famous for creative accounting.
Hollywood accounting, as I've come to learn about. But Filmation did offer Columbia Pictures to do an adaptation of Ghostbusters, but they said, "Oh no, it's okay. We gave it to these guys." Deke got the contract, not Filmation. So Filmation eventually would do their version of Ghostbusters, just a little different, but continuation of the series from the 70s. This is their sons, their kids, all grown up, and the girl though is still there. And Deke did we're the real Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
So that I think definitely that was more popular of the two shows, and I think the better of the two shows myself. Definitely more successful the two,
yeah.
So one definitely lasted a lot longer. So so that's kind of a little brief history of the two different Ghostbusters shows, and why one was called the Real Ghostbusters, and
right,
yeah.
No Slimer in this episode. I believe I think this is the only episode of Real Ghostbusters I've ever watched, but I think Slimer was almost kind of like a character of the show. He was a
Well, I think he
frequently
was.
guest starred.
He did. He was on a lot. I
Yeah.
think he may have like kind of made the track the roller coaster track all slimy, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
But I think the roller coaster is kind of how they defeat him,
Yeah.
Cthulhu.
Yeah. Researching this episode, a lot of people say that, Ghostbusters is a very Lovecraftian movie, which is definitely true. It's,
Yes.
Lovecraft done as, a modern day comedy. You've got the ancient civilizations and these gods and monsters. And the threat feels very Lovecraftian, I would say, even though they say that the genesis of the movie was Dan Aykroyd's, fascination with like Victorian spiritualism, seances, that kind of stuff. You do see that in the movie, of course,
You do.
but I think you also get the Lovecraftian vibe. And although, just as an aside, my vote for like most Lovecraftian movie ever that has, was not an adaptation is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I think that movie for me really puts off Lovecraftian vibes. I mean, just the mood, the atmosphere of it. But this episode, Collect Call of Cthulhu, I was not expecting it to be this good. I mean, the title of the episode is so silly, but it's just a play on the title. It has nothing to do with the actual. Cthulhu does not make any phone calls in this episode.
No.
But I was quite surprised at how geeky some of the references are.
Oh yeah.
We meet. I believe this guy is a librarian. The show starts off like very similar to Dunwich Horror. The Necronomicon is in a library, not the Miskatonic Library in this case, but of course the famous New York Public Library, which was featured in the movie Ghostbusters. But here we're back in the library. They are going to stupidly display the Necronomicon to the public. Anyone knows what's going to happen when you do that. But one of the librarians is named Ted Klein, who is a fantastic writer. I think he's still alive. I happened to find this paperback in a used bookstore in like the mid to late 90s in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Just picked it up on a whim. I mean, this is before the internet or anything. I was just blown away by what a great book it was. Ted Klein, I mean, even though it's, I realize on the cover it's T-E-D Klein. I'm pretty sure everyone says Ted Klein. Fantastic book. I mean, like a real doorstop. The chapters are all like 30 pages long, but it's so well written that you just get lost in every page. It's great. And he hasn't written a lot. I think he maybe has 2 other books. And I put the date on there, 1984. So this book came out a couple years before this episode was made. And, someone at Real Ghostbusters was a fan because we have a librarian named Ted Klein. So that's getting really, I mean, his, connection to Lovecraft is pretty tenuous, but it's there. And then you have this guy, Clark Ashton Smith, was a contemporary of Lovecraft. He was known more poetic and writing fantasies, and I've read a bunch of his stuff, but to tell you the truth, I don't remember it that well. But he did write some stuff in a sort of a Lovecraftian vein. I think he had a story called The Shambler from the Stars or something, which, I mean, I went through a period where you could not keep me away from that kind of stuff, although it's been a few years. I have to say, I don't really remember. When I saw this character, I thought he was Vincent Price, but
yes,
he actually does kind of look like how Clark Ashton Smith looked.
And
love the cover. He had I was wondering what picture should I show to compliment Clark Ashton Smith. And I saw this cover. I was like, yeah, I gotta go with this. These old classic Arkham House, you know, this publishing company that's largely credited with keeping Lovecraft's, in the public eye, because they reprinted his stuff after he died, and these books are all collector's items. You see, they named the publishing house Arkham House, which is Arkham is of course a setting in Lovecraft's stories, and is mentioned several times in this episode of Ghostbusters. So so there we have Clark Ashton Smith makes an appearance, and also there was some sort of eldritch elder god whose name was basically Clark Ashton Smith. Lovecraft named one of Cthulhu's siblings after this guy. Let's see what else. Oh, and then of course we have Cthulhu. They went with a bold choice of making him red.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a cool interpretation of Cthulhu, and I found it was an entertaining little story. I mean, of course, fairly lighthearted, but kind of not that different from how you might expect a H.P. Lovecraft story to be. You have the Necronomicon in a library, strange things going on. You got to investigate. I found the episode to be a nice little treat for Lovecraft fans.
I enjoyed it too. There's not many series from the 80s, cartoons from I can watch today and still enjoy, but this is definitely one of them. There's about like 5 I get to watch today.
Yeah, but it's solid.
Yeah, and I liked how they got the characters. I forgot how accurate their personalities were. Like Peter Vickman's still kind of a womanizer, and he's like saying, "Oh, I bet you that one woman's like a tank," or he meets the professor. She's really pretty.
Right. Right. Yeah. I guess they changed the appearances of the characters probably so they wouldn't have to pay the actors.
Yeah, like this
They're pretty. Even though they have the same names and they act pretty similar, they have different voices and they look different.
Ray Stantz is still kind of like a man-child.
Yeah.
You got the hyper-intellectual, and then you got the guy that's just trying to make sense of everything. Just Winston. But I thought they got the personalities pretty close to what they were in the film.
For sure. Yeah, I could tell who they were, even though they looked very different.
Yeah, and also, so I always thought it was Cthulhu, but here they say Cthulhu, like number 2. Cthulhu.
Oh, right.
Cthulhu number 2.
Right. Yeah. So since I would expect Cthulhu doesn't speak English. I would think TH is not a digraph in his language. So I figure you probably should say Cthulhu, but I think I say Cthulhu, and I think most fans say Cthulhu, and they spelled his name differently. They added an A after the C. To really make it Cthulhu, which I guess the writer thought that was necessary for copyright reasons, though it wasn't. I believe it was not under copyright any longer, public domain. So he could have just gone with Cthulhu, the regular spelling, but he changed it up a bit.
Like Cthulhu.
Right. So, and I mean, Pete, if you want to get really geeky about it, you could say the name should be pronounced in a very exotic manner because it's an alien name that, can't even be pronounced by a human tongue. But
no,
as much as I love Lovecraft, I just go with Cthulhu. I mean, it sounds good and everyone knows what you're talking about.
It was kind of cool also how the episode actually had cults. They're cults.
The cult's a big part of the Cthulhu mythos for sure, yeah.
And I was like, wow, they went there. But I'm not sure they say the word cults because I'm not sure if you were allowed to back then. But you can tell what it is. I thought that was pretty. They're all chanting and.
Right, yeah. We've got a Shoggoth, which I believe also was spelled differently. Undoubtedly for the same reason. There's an issue of Weird Tales shown, although I believe they misspelled weird.
wired.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
the I and the E were reversed. Yeah.
yeah, so that was an odd little thing. Yeah, I mean, of course, Weird Tales is a huge part of the whole Lovecraft thing. Yeah, there was a um, Robert Howard, who, of course, that's the name of a character in this episode, and that, of course, is the creator of Conan, who also wrote lots
Yes.
of cool horror stories, some involving Cthulhu. And oh yeah, Wagner's Occult Shop. That's another real geeky thing.
Oh yeah.
Wagner. I'm having trouble remembering his name. He was an author. His stuff is out of print, hard to find, but he wrote Lovecraftian stuff. He also wrote Conan. Carl Edward Wagner was his name. I read a novel of his that was Conan, just because it was like one of the few things I could find. Stuff is out of print. He's considered very good. He's supposedly a great science fiction fantasy writer, but his stuff is out of print. And if you want to, I haven't really looked for it in like the last 10 years, but back then, old paperbacks went for a ton of money. So I didn't read very much of his stuff, but yeah, I mean, and there's more, but I think we've talked about this. We've talked about this episode for just about as long as the episode is. So
yeah, I enjoyed it very much. It was nice to I can still enjoy that cartoon now, even when I as much as I did back then in '87 or however 86, '87. So yeah, so still very enjoyable. It was fun.
Yeah, very solid for Lovecraft fans. So please join us again next Thursday. We will be back.
Okay, take care, everybody.
Bye, Jim.
Take care, Jason. I'll see you. Take care.